Hello, YouTube subscribers, Facebook friends, and also Podomatic podcast listeners. Mark Mai here. We are doing the companion video for episode number 69. Pretty good episode. I was really in the mood for some West Coast or cool jazz feeling music, and a lot of the selections are from artists that are sort of connected with that genre of jazz or subgenre of jazz as it is. Also, I didn't realize it until like towards the end of the episode that for some reason I must have had also a taste for flute players, flautists, because I do have three on the episode. Mo Kaufman, Canadian saxophone and flautist, Buddy Collette, and also towards the end there, Bud Shank, working on the flute as well. So we're going to start right off with the records that we selected for this episode, and first one is actually a Wax Times reissue. It's actually known as The Brothers. Features Al Khan, Bill Perkins, and Richie Kamuka. And again, this is a 180 gram pure virgin vinyl on the Wax Times. I did buy it brand new on Amazon. Actually, I didn't buy it from Amazon. I bought it from a seller who sells through Amazon. It's actually called Import CDs. I get a lot of stuff from them, especially these Wax Times, because they have just awesome price. I think I paid less than 11 bucks for this one. We'll say less than 12. How's that? Because it may have been 11 and change, I think, or something like that. But again, this is great three tenor saxophones of Al Khan, Richie Kamuka, and Bill Perkins. We also have a pianist, Hank Jones. On guitar, we have Barry Galbraith or Jim Rainey. And then bass is John Beal, and drums is Chuck Flores. The reason there's a difference in guitar players is because it was actually recorded on two dates in New York City, June 24th and also June 25th, 1955. And apparently one of the guitarists was not available one day, and the other one was not available the other day, so they used both guitarists. But real good. This is again, these three guys are prevalent in West Coast sound, although this is recorded in New York, which is kind of odd. But all three of these all three of these gentlemen at one point or another was either in Stan Kenton's band or in Woody Herman's band, and a lot of those artists happen to become what we now call as West Coast sound, because both bands went to California on tours and broke up in California, and so a lot of those musicians decided to stay in California and created, what we call West Coast sound. So very good. And the tune that we used is actually called Suzanne, but it's spelled Sioux space ZAN, Suzanne. So pretty cool tune, and it's a Nat Pierce original tune. Alright, next one we had kind of fun with, because I had picked up this record here. It's on the Surrey label. It's called Buddy Collette on Broadway, and I was so happy. I like Buddy Collette. There's not a whole lot out there that has Buddy Collette on it. It looks pretty nice. Still has the plastic on it. It's nice and clean here on the back and everything. So I was real happy with it. Till I got it home and I realized there's a lot of surface noise. There was a lot of hisses and pops. Um, there weren't many scratches, so you don't really notice it on the surface, but when you're playing it, you can certainly hear it. So I was kind of dejected, and I thought, well, I ripped it, but I'll probably never use it because it was just not a good quality. A week or two later, I was at a store and I picked this up. It's called Marx Makes Broadway with Flute and Friends. And I come to find out Dick Marks piano, Buddy Collette flute, Frank Capp, Carson Smith, Red Mitchell, Irving Ashby, and Howard Roberts. It's the exact same lineup as is on this record. And so I look at the list of tunes. Oh my gosh, the exact same tunes. Believe it or not, these two albums are the same album. One under Buddy Collette's name on the Surrey label, and the other one under Dick Marks on the Omega disc label. So this one actually turned out to be a better copy, sound-wise anyway. And so I ended up using that. And the tune that we actually hear on this particular episode is I think I did Cool. Yeah, the tune Cool. So a little interesting how a lot of times a label will purchase the rights to an album and re-release it. And for this particular episode, it worked out for me perfect. Alright. Then we're going to feature, now this is an album we actually used on the last episode, and we're going to use it again for at least one tune. This is A Day in the Life of Bonnie and Clyde. This is actually on the Liberty label. This features Mel Torme, and it actually says here, featuring Cab Drivers, a tune that was pretty popular, I guess, around that time. And this is actually the title track, "The Day in the Life of Bonnie and Clyde," is a Mel Torme original. The rest of the songs are all from the late 1920s or early 1930s, right around the time that Bonnie and Clyde were doing their bank robberies, the real life Bonnie and Clyde. This album came out at just after the release of the movie Bonnie and Clyde, because there was a resurgence in popularity of them. So we actually heard on the last episode, I Concentrate on You. On this episode, we took the tune Little White Lies. Okay. All right. Moving on. Another favorite here on on the Little Night Music is the pianist George Shearing. Oddly enough, last episode we also had a George Shearing tune on there, but it was from a different album. This one here, keeping along with the West Coast kind of thing, this is called George Shearing Quintet, and it's recorded live and swinging by the Golden Gate. The San Francisco Scene is the name of the album. This is on Capitol. Mr. Shearing recorded for Capitol almost exclusively his entire career. And we actually took the tune here. There's quite a few nice tunes on this, but we're only going to use one. We do have so much George Shearing. What may be way off in the distance, we'll come back to this again. But this, the tune Cocktails for Two. Cocktails for Two. This actually has quite a few pretty cool tunes on it. The Bebop Irishman, I'll Be Around, Jumpin' with Symphony Sid, This Nearly Was Mine, My New Mambo, The Outlaw, When April Comes Again, and then the last tune here, Lullaby of Birdland. So, I mean, there's some good tunes on here. Maybe we will revisit this record again in the distant future. Moving on, we heard from the orchestra of Art Mooney, and this is on the Cap record label. This is called Jump for Joy. Has quite a few nice songs on here as well. Satin Doll, Secret Love, More, Memories of You, Bedtime Story, Skyliner, Gambler in My Heart, Along with the Blues. That's a weird tune. Lonesome and Sorry, Sleepy Lagoon, and Sweet Narcissus. And so this actually is a, if you can see, it says promotional copy only, not for sale. Which is part of the reason why it sounds so good. At some point, a record store or a radio station owned this copy, and they only play it. Generally what happens is they play top 40 stuff. So when it first comes out and it's on the chart, they'll play it, and after that it'll kind of go on the wayside, and eventually it'll get sold off to someone like me. I actually bought this at a record store not too far from where I live, 99 cents. What a steal. I can't beat it, because it's a great one. So there you go. Moving on. The next vocal of the episode was performed by a group called the Four Freshmen. This is on Capitol record label, and it's called Voices in Love. Okay. Four Freshmen are four vocalists, and throughout the years it's been different artists. It's not as if the Four Freshmen were always the same four guys. Throughout the years, members would come and go. Yeah, very good. I think we'll probably use another tune off of this at a later date. But I think we used "There Is No Greater Love" is the tune that we used this time around. Okay. All right, and then the next flautist that was on our list was a gentleman by the name of Mo Kaufman, and this is actually on the Jubilee record label. This is his second album. On his very first album, which was called Hot and Cool Jazz or something, I believe it was called. No, but anyways, he had a hit off of that first record called Swingin' Shepherd's Blues, and for his follow-up album, he called it The Shepherd Swings Again. So. Nice model with the shepherd's crook there and a flute. But he is of Canadian origin, and he was a longtime member of the oh gosh, now I won't be able to remember the name of it. Rob McConnell Brass Brass. I knew it would come to me eventually. But yeah, he was a member of the Boss Brass for a long time. And a couple other folks here on this one, because it's just a quartet. So Mo on flute and alto sax, Ron Ruley drums, Hugh Curry bass, and then Ed Bickert on guitar. Ed was another famous jazz performer from Canada. Alright. Moving on. Here's an Italian record label called I Grande del Jazz. And I can't tell you what most of this record says. And it's a shame because it's very nice. When it opens up, there's a little flap here. Open that flap up, and it's actually a booklet. There's quite a bit of information about the artist in this booklet. Some great photographs here of some of the gentlemen that Jerry Mulligan has worked with over the years. Chet Baker, looks like this is oh gosh, no, I won't be able to remember his name either. But Anyway, so there's quite a bit. The only problem with it is it's entirely in Italian. So I can't read a single word of it. And then the record. The record comes out this direction here. And they're great. I mean, these are generally live performances that were recorded while the artist was in Italy or in Europe. And so these are imported into the U.S. And it's like I said, it's a great record. The problem is it's entirely in Italian. So, but of course the titles of the titles are always in English. So we have the first on side one, karaoke rather. My Funny Valentine, and then there's a little snippet of the song that we actually used. Excuse me. Limelight, the Lady is a Tramp, Moonlight in Vermont. As Catch Can, What Is There to Say, Blue Port, and then the full version of the tune that we used, Utter Chaos. So great stuff. I have quite a few of these, and this is another one I picked up. It says 79 cents, but I knew this is actually from a bin that was 79 cents each, or 2 for $1, and I always get 2. Get more for my money that way. Alright, moving on. Our last vocalist of the show, from an album entitled Soft and Warm on the Epic label. This is Roy Hamilton. He's a very good baritone vocalist. Sort of has he uses a kind of a technique when he's singing that's somewhat operatic in nature, but also the very feeling of it is very soul oriented. So very cool. Great numbers on this one. Nancy, All the Way, I Couldn't Sleep a Wink Last Night, All the Things You Are, Homesick, Put Your Dreams Away, Angel Eyes, More Than You Know, I Fall in Love Too Easily, If You Were the Only Girl, then A Friend of Yours, Good Night My Love. So some great tunes there. We used All the Things You Are. I'm sure we'll use another tune or two off of this record for later episodes as well. Okay, very good. And then the last record, but not the last tune. Last record of the show is actually just entitled West Coast Volume 3, West Coast Jazz Volume 3. And this is on the Jazz Tone label, and features some performances by Chet Baker, Chico Hamilton, Jerry Mulligan, Art Pepper, Bud Shank, who we listen to, and then others. It says the Bud Shank we listen to is with him playing his flute. So that's the third and final flute player of the evening. The Jazz Tone label was short-lived label. A gentleman who actually ended up becoming more of a pop music person, because he was a producer of records for people like the Isley Brothers and the Jackson 5 and a couple other like that. But he did for a short while do a lot of jazz, and some of the ones that he did were up-and-coming stars that just blew up. Like I said, the list here is Chet Baker, Jerry Mulligan, Art Pepper, Bud Shank. Those are huge names in jazz, but when they were first recording for the Jazz Tone, they weren't that well known. So very cool. But yeah, we did use on this one, Polka Dots and Moonbeams is the name of the tune. Alright, and then the last song of the show was actually from our first record. We kind of went full circle here in the show, the same album to start the show off as to end it. So that's it. That's the show. Again, I hope you listen to it and enjoy it. Let me know. Give me feedback. I'm always willing to listen to whatever anybody's got to say. Um, so thanks again. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time.